Hare Krishna, everybody. Krishna Dasa welcomes you to this episode of Pragmatic Bhagavad Gita. Today we are going to cover Shlokas 2.25 to 2.30. Before we begin, let's say the prayers to God. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
So let me play the recording of the Shlokas. Please follow along. It is 2.25 to 2.30.
अव्यक्तोऽयमचिन्त्योऽयमविकार्योऽयमुच्यते तस्मादेवं विदित्वैनं नानुशोचितुमर्हसि अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतम् तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैवं शोचितुमर्हसि जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार्येऽर्थेन त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि अव्यक्तादीनि भूतानि व्यक्तमध्यानि भारत अव्यक्तनिधनान्येव तत्र का परिदेवना आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित् देही नित्यमवध्योऽयं देहे सर्वस्य भारत तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि.
Hare Krishna. So I think today Deepa ji has volunteered to read the translations. Please go ahead, Deepa ji.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. 2.25. It is said that the soul is invincible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. 2.26. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. 2.27. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. 2.28. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? 2.29. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. 2.30. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So in these slokas, Sri Krishna is going pretty deep into Sankhya philosophy. I hope you all find it very interesting. So in Vedanta, the soul is described as sarvagata, all-pervading, which means it exists everywhere. Now, the Sanskrit word sarvagata is composed of two words, sarva meaning all or every, and gata meaning gone or gone to. Therefore, sarvagata implies that the soul has gone to all places or is present in all places at all times. So at least theoretically the belief is that there are life forms even in places like the sun. We think there is no life just because we can't see, we can't perceive it, but the concept is life is there even in the sun because it is sarvagata, it is everywhere, all pervading. So the first concept again that comes here is the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Let us see what all this means. See, we cannot catch the soul and we cannot see it using instruments. Now, when Sri Krishna is saying that the soul is inconceivable, what it means is we cannot try to theorize it. We cannot try to have like experiments and prove the existence of the soul. This is what we discussed earlier on, that the soul is not something we can theorize. It is only something that we can realize. I tried to attempt conveying this in a short 4-line poetry. I'm not that good in poetry, but I thought I'll make it interesting because this topic is so technical. Should you strive to fathom the unfathomable, your grasp but clutches at a mere semblance, a creation of your own mind, a limited notion that cannot mirror the fullness of that unfathomable reality. This is kind of what Krishna is trying to say. So Swami Prabhupada once said in his lecture that he said, I told you, the soul cannot be conceived. So if you try to conceive that which cannot be conceived, what you'll end up with is just your own conception. It's not reality. Now, this is not just a very obtuse philosophical or spiritual concept. Even in modern science has said something similar. So there is one concept called the map-territory relation. It was introduced by a Polish-American mathematician and philosopher. His name is Alfred Korzybski, very famous philosopher and mathematician. He is known for his book, a very famous book. The book is titled Science and Sanity. It was published in 1933. There he argues the relationship between language or symbols and reality. So what all he's trying to say is we humans use symbols and language to interpret or describe reality. So that description is going to be limited by the limitations of the symbols and language. So in other words, we can never fully describe reality which is beyond the grasp of these words and symbols. I know it sounds a bit all technical. So basically, the sentence he wrote in the book, which became very popular, was that a map is not the territory it represents. So that is why the concept is called map-territory relation. See, in simpler terms, imagine that you have a map of a city. You can see various symbols there. You can see green patches. You can see blue for water. But does that really accurately give you the perception of the city? No. It gives you an idea. It gives you an idea of what you can find in that city, but you cannot experience the city. You have to go to that city, or you have to live in that city to actually understand and experience what that city is. That is what this philosopher is also saying. That's the same thing Lord Krishna is also saying. You can theorize about the soul all you want. But at the end of the day, it is only through self-realization that you will actually comprehend what the soul is or what God is. No amount of theorization is going to take you to the ultimate goal. All these theories, all these symbols, all these constructs, they're all just like a map to guide you into which direction to go. I hope that makes sense. So another thing to keep in mind is that our eyes, they are made up of material energy. Anything which is manifested is made up of material energy. So we can see only material objects. Very simple concept, right? You use an instrument made of material energy, it can perceive things which are material in nature. The soul is beyond the realm of material energy. That's why we cannot use these instruments to perceive that which is beyond the material realm. So there are some scientists who have conducted stupid experiments, really. This used to be very popular when I was young. Some atheists, the man is about to die, they will put that person in a glass case, they will seal the glass case tightly, and then the person is dead and they will say, see, nothing escaped the glass case. I mean, the glass didn't break, there is no crack. So how can you tell me that there was a soul inside that escaped? So such kind of stupid experiments have happened. But what Krishna is saying is that is all like pointless and meaningless, because the soul is beyond the realm of material. And today, I think people can understand it more easily, because you can be inside your car, you can have all the windows closed, airtight, right? But still, when somebody calls you, your phone rings. No glass shatters when the waves enter your phone, right? It still gets in, gets out whenever it wants to, because it is very subtle. Those waves, they are and the soul is even subtler than that. So Krishna is saying you cannot grasp it. Don't even try. Don't try to conceive it in your mind. There are always been philosophers who have refuted this. Even during Krishna's time, there were people who would argue that there is no such thing as a soul. They are like, this body is all you have, and once this body is gone, everything is finished. And these people were called Lokaitikas and Vaibhasikas. They had their own schools which taught about this kind of impermanence and non-existence of soul. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that if he thinks, so what Krishna is telling Arjuna is, Arjuna, if you are also going to think like those Lokaitikas and Vaibhasikas, and if you are going to think that there is no soul and this body is just all you have, then also there is no reason to be worried, because death is anyway certain. So what are you worrying about? If you kill this person, he's going to die today. If you don't kill that person, he's going to die tomorrow. But the death is anyways going to happen. So why lament so much? So in 2.27, Krishna makes a statement. He says, whoever is born, to them death is certain. And whoever dies, for them birth is certain. It's a very, very profound concept. So death is not necessarily a ending. It is just the start of another beginning. So we should get out of body consciousness and we should endeavor to get into soul consciousness. That is what Krishna's message is here. Now in the Mahabharata, there is an incident, when the Pandavas, when they were exiled in the forest, they were wandering, they were very thirsty, and they go to a well, and then Yudhishthira asks Bhima, he says, go fetch water for all of us. See, Bhima was the strongest guy, so all these kind of jobs were fetching water, cutting trees, they will always delegate that to Bhima. So Yudhishthira tells Bhima, go make yourself useful and get water from the well for all of us. Now, as soon as Bhima tries to get some water, he hears a voice coming from within the well. There was a yaksha. The yaksha means a very powerful spirit in that well. And the yaksha tells Bhima, this is my well. I will let you take water only if you answer my questions. But Bhima, he was Bhima, right? How dare anybody tell him that he can't do something? So Bhima goes ahead and says, blah, I'm going to go get water. But it is a yaksha, much more powerful than any human being. So that yaksha kind of pulls Bhima into the water and Bhima disappears. And then Yudhishthira is worried what happened. He sends Arjuna. Arjuna goes, the same thing. The yaksha says, I already took your brother. You better answer my question before you touch the water. And Arjuna is like, I am the greatest archer on the planet. How can somebody challenge me? So he also disregards. He tries to fetch water. The yaksha pulls Arjuna also into the water. Like that, all the brothers, they disappear one after the other. Finally, the great Yudhishthira, he's like, now I have no choice. I have to go myself. So he goes there. And then the yaksha tells him the same thing. He says, I took all your brothers. All I was asking them was to answer my question, but nobody paid attention. If you answer my question, I will free your brothers and I will also give you water. So this is a story in Mahabharata. Basically, they are trying to get our attention to a concept. What that concept is? The concept is in the question. So Yudhishthira asks, okay, what is the question? What do you want to ask? So the yaksha says, Kim Ascharyam? Very simple question. What is the most surprising thing in this world? Do you all think like that? What is most surprising in this world? When Yudhishthira's answer becomes obvious, you will feel, probably some of you will feel that I also feel like that. Yudhishthira gives a very beautiful answer. Yudhishthira says, Ahanya ahani bhutani gacchanti yamalayam sheshaha stavaram icchanti kim ascharyam ataha param. Day after day, countless living entities in this world go to the kingdom of Yama, which is death. Still, those who are alive think they will not die. This is always happens, when we always think that death happens to somebody else. It's not for us. What could be more amazing than this? This is what Yudhishthira is telling the Yaksha. He's saying, this is what surprises me, that all around we can see evidence that everybody dies, but the living people, they never realize that it applies to them also. They always somehow think that death is not for them, it is for somebody else. And that is the most surprising thing. And the Yaksha was happy with that answer. Yaksha says, yeah, of course, I do accept that as a valid answer. It is so surprising. So Sri Krishna is explaining that life has a certain end. It is certainty, Krishna is saying. There is no escape. So what is the point in lamenting? Rather, we should focus on making the most of the journey. That should be the focus. That is what Krishna is saying. It is like saying you sit in a train, the train is going to Mumbai. And you are worried, oh, finally the train will go to Mumbai and then the journey will finish. But what is the point of worrying? I mean, the train is designed to go to Mumbai. It is going to go to Mumbai. The journey is going to end. There is no point worrying about it throughout the journey. Enjoy the journey. Look out the window, look at the scenery, talk to the passengers, help somebody on the train, have a good time. That's the whole idea. What if from Delhi to Mumbai, you are just worried, oh, in a few hours, the train will reach Mumbai, then my journey will be over, so sad. What's the point, right? That's what Krishna is talking about, the human life also. Now, there is ever since I was in college, this is a very famous, I won't say famous, it's a very comforting philosophy that I have followed. I don't remember where I took it from. It was said by some great person. So the philosophy is, if there is a solution to your problem, there is no need to be overwhelmed. You agree? Yes or no? Everybody agrees? Okay. Now, if there is no solution to your problem, then there is no point in being overwhelmed. See, even that makes sense. So at the end of the day, that worrying and being overwhelmed is of no use. And that is pretty much what Krishna is saying here. So in the context of these verses, because the soul is eternal and it never dies, and because the body is anyways going to die, there is no point in being overwhelmed about death. Because your worrying and being overwhelmed is not changing anything. When death has to come, it has to come, it will come. So Sri Krishna is saying that all living beings are unmanifested in the beginning, manifested in the middle, and then unmanifested again in the end. So it's a cycle. So Krishna is saying that just like life is temporary, we are always looking at life is temporary. Krishna is saying, Arjuna, but death is also temporary. So Krishna is saying it's a cycle. Life, death, it's a cycle. It keeps going. So he's saying, don't be so worried. The concept is, once we die, our soul will find another body. Now, sometimes the soul may find another body within a few seconds. Sometimes it may find a body in a few hours. Sometimes in a few years. Sometimes in a few yugas. Now, that depends on other things which will come later. But this is the concept. But eventually, it will find, and this will keep going on until we get liberation and mukti. That is what mukti is all about. So this cycle of birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, if you are tired of it, if you have had enough fun and now you are like, okay, I'm done with it, then go seek mukti, then you get out of this cycle. So we discussed earlier that we have 3 kinds of bodies. Anybody remembers? You can raise your hands if somebody remembers. What are the 3 kinds of bodies?
Stula, Sushma. Is that one like that? Stula body, Sushma body.
Yes. And Karana body. Yes. Correct. So we have a gross body, we have a subtle body, and we have a causal body. The causal body is the cause of the other 2 bodies. And we have discussed that the subtle body is not destroyed. So what is destroyed? Even when we die, when they burn our body, it's only the gross body that is getting destroyed. We have a subtle body which doesn't get destroyed. So all our karmic accounts, they're all attached to that subtle body. So that's why you cannot escape, because that body is never destroyed. As long as you don't get mukti, that body remains, that subtle body. So now in the Kathopanishad, there is a saying which says, a teacher who is self-realized is very rare. The opportunity to hear instructions about the science of self-realization from such a teacher, that is even more rare. If by great fortune such an opportunity presents itself, students who can comprehend this topic, that is the rarest. I think I can relate with that. I don't know if you can relate with it. So that is what Krishna is saying, that it's an opportunity. Today, if we are all in this satsanga, it is by grace of Krishna. Krishna is giving us that opportunity. It's a privilege. Not everybody gets it. Okay, some of you in this group, you are like young, you are maybe in your teens or 20s. Some of you are like 40, 50, 60. We have all come here at the time when Krishna thought we are ready, when Krishna thought we should come. That is my strong belief. The point is, now that we have that opportunity, we have to make the most of it. And that is the whole concept here. Because finding a teacher who has interest in you is difficult. Secondly, you finding the time to come and attend is even more difficult. And even if all this happens, this knowledge making sense to you, it doesn't depend on your intellect. It depends on how open you are. Are you opened up? Is it an open heart? So that is what Krishna has said again and again. Like, humility, lack of pride, purity. These things help us evolve. All of these things coming together is extremely rare. And that is why I keep on requesting all of you to make the most of this opportunity. Swami Ranganathananda, he is a very famous Swamiji. I listened to a lot of his lectures. He is an expert in Advaita philosophy and he is very good in Sanskrit and all of that. He says that our higher self, which is our soul, is the ultimate teacher. Our soul is the acharya. And to realize that truth, we have to become an ultimate student. So such a nice simple concept. He's saying that within you, you have the ultimate teacher. But to learn from that ultimate teacher, you have to become an ultimate student. That's all that is required. Then self-realization happens. So that is symbolic. This is exactly what happened in the Mahabharata, Kurukshetra war. Lord Krishna was the Acharya, Jagat Guru, the best teacher anybody could have. And Arjuna was the ultimate student, the best student that anybody could have. Later on in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself will say that Arjuna is the perfect student. Why he is the perfect student? Because he understood the difference between Prashna and Pariprashna. Arjuna had a million questions, but he never questioned Krishna. It's a very subtle difference, very powerful difference. We will cover this later in the Bhagavad Gita also. So how to elevate ourselves, how to become such an ultimate student? That is the teaching of the rest of the Bhagavad Gita. All of Bhagavad Gita is about that. How do you make yourself better? How do you elevate yourself? How do you purify yourself? How do you make yourself suitable for such knowledge? How do you make yourself suitable for liberation? That is what the Bhagavad Gita is all about. We will start learning about it going forward. Now we are going to cover a very, very profound, important concept. The concept of samskaras and how they influence our lives. So it's very important. I request you all to pay attention, especially those who have their videos turned off. Please shut down your Instagram, Facebook. I don't know what else. Okay, and let's pay attention to this topic, because this may answer some questions that we have all had for a long time in our lives. At least I had many questions which got answered. So we all spoke about karma, and we spoke how it keeps the cycle of birth and death. We will go deeper into karma in Bhagavad Gita, but before that, there is a concept of samskara, which is also very important to understand, because samskaras, they are the basis of the development of karma. So Vidya ji is here. Maybe sometime I can take her help to explain these Sanskrit terms. Vidya ji, please correct me if I am going wrong anywhere. Vidya ji is a student of Sanskrit. So the Sanskrit word sam means complete or connected together. And kara means the cause of action. So every conscious action we perform creates an impression in our mind. Very deep concept, right? The intent behind the action determines how strong these impressions are. And these impressions are what are termed as samskaras. Is it making sense? Every action you perform creates an impression on your mind. Now, how strong that impression is depends on the intent behind the action. And these impressions that are getting created in your mind, they are what become your samskaras. See, for example, even in your friend circle or in your relatives, you will see that there are some people who are always thinking negatively. Even normal circumstances, even good circumstances, you may be celebrating their birthday, but they will still have something negative to say there. And you wonder what is wrong with this person. Why is this person always thinking negatively, right? Some people always tend to be violent. You know, where many years ago, I used to live in a small room which belonged to a military guy. This was during my young days, and that guy had a small son. He was just 2 years old, and he had this habit. He will slap himself, and he will slap himself so badly, like loudly, and we were all shocked. Like, why would somebody do that? There, at that time, I didn't have an explanation. The explanation is here. Whereas some people, they always seem happy-go-lucky. They don't really worry much. And we tell them, "Arey, this guy never seems to be stressed. You know, the same exam, the same teacher, the same school, the same textbook, we all have. But one person seems totally cool. And one person is crying and sweating." Correct? All these differences are because of the samskaras. These samskaras influence the thoughts and actions. And our actions in turn create our karmas. That is the science. Don't worry. I'll share the notes. If these things don't make sense, I encourage you to ask questions. I'm happy to have another session and go deeper into these topics as well, again and again. Okay. So what is other important thing to understand is repeated thoughts and actions just strengthen your samskaras. Let us say today you get this feeling of being negative, like everything is going fine, but there is this, itch within you to find fault in that perfect situation. Okay, like your friend or your girlfriend or wife or somebody has spent a lot of efforts. They bought a beautiful cake for you, surprised you for a birthday, and something from within tells you, "Arey, but ye to white chocolate, I wanted dark chocolate." There is this something that tells you, like, find fault. But if you listen to that voice and if you engage in that action, then that creates an impression on your mind, and next time that thought is even more forceful. The more you listen and the more you give in, the impressions become stronger and stronger, and eventually comes a time when you can't resist it anymore. I mean, it's not even in your control. You see, even if God comes in front of you, you will say, "Why are you not wearing my favorite color?" or something like that, because that becomes the samskaras. They start making such strong impressions. That is why this topic is so important. Okay, because this is also, you can use it positively. How you can use it positively? We have these positive itches also. Positive things also we want to do, but sometimes we neglect it. Sometimes, it's just too early in the morning. It's not comfortable. Let it be. I will do it some other time. There, if you force yourself once, the next time it becomes easier. If you keep doing it, it becomes a habit. Very great saints have said, even Sadhguru has said the same thing, that any good habit, if you can force yourself to do it for 21 days, that's all it requires. 21 days, you force. That samskara becomes strong enough to then make it easy for you. After that, you don't have to struggle. There is another very mysterious property of samskaras, which probably is extremely profound again. That's why I keep telling you to pay attention, because these are all the science of the mind, science behind karma, which you can't find. You don't usually find these explanations everywhere. So what is other mysterious property of samskara is that they are two-sided, and they will force you to experience both sides of it. What does that mean? For example, stealing something is a sanskara. Getting stolen from is the other side of the sanskara. Two sides of the same coin. Now, if you give in to the sanskara of stealing, if you keep stealing, then you will also develop the sanskara of getting stolen from. In other words, you will unconsciously put yourself in situations where somebody will steal from you because you have to experience it. That is how sanskaras work. They have two sides to the same coin. Just like that, if you have a sanskara of being violent, if you always like hitting people, for example, hitting and being hit, they are two sides of the same coin. So if you are hitting people all the time, if you give in to that sanskara, eventually you will develop a sanskara to get hit by people. In other words, you will yourself put yourself in situations unknowingly where somebody will come and hit you. See, that is why if you see most of these violent people, they always have violent deaths. Observe or look at biographies, read about every violent person invariably ends in a violent death because that is their own sanskara. Okay, so this is what is very important. Sanskaras, they are like divine police. They will make sure that you yourself experience what you do to others, because what you do to somebody is one side of the coin and the same thing happening to you is the other side of the coin. Your sanskaras will take care of that. That is why even in the Christian faith they say, as you sow, so shall you reap. That is the secret behind that saying. It is not like God is sitting there and saying, oh, you hit somebody, today I will make somebody hit you. There is no police required. You yourself will put yourself in such situations. You yourself will punish yourself. That is the power of sanskaras. Making sense, or is it going bouncer? I hope it makes sense. Otherwise, we will repeat it again. So, in other words, now when somebody says non-violence is a virtue, you will see a totally different perspective there. Because when Krishna or somebody says be non-violent, it is not just that you are doing a favor to the other person by not being violent. You are doing a favor to yourself. Because today, if you are violent, you will develop a sanskaras of being violent, and then the sanskaras will have the other aspect where you will put yourself in a situation where somebody is violent to you. You don't want that. That is not good for you. That is why non-violence is good for you. Just like that, don't steal. It is for your own good. Because if you steal, you will get stolen from. Your sanskaras will make sure that you get stolen from. And so on and so forth. Now maybe all those advices and gyan have a totally different perspective suddenly. Now we can understand why all these are so important. They are all there for our protection. God is not trying to protect the world from you. God knows how to take care of the world. All these instructions, they are there so that you protect yourself from yourself. So take care of your thoughts, because your thoughts will take care of your sanskaras. Take care of your sanskaras, because your sanskaras will take care of your karma. And take care of your karma, because your karma determines the entire journey that you are going to have, life after life after life after life. The good news is we can fix our negative sanskaras. That is the good news. It is not that you are powerless. You have the power. And that is what Krishna is explaining in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? Krishna is not just talking about intellectual gyan. Krishna is giving us the process, giving us the tools using which we can fix our sanskaras. And our core becomes better. And Krishna will go on to say that Bhakti Yoga is the easiest tool to fix your sanskaras and attain liberation. Now in the 9th chapter, what the explanation is, Krishna says, even if the most sinful worships me with undivided attention and focus, he too must be deemed righteous and saintly, for he has rightly resolved and properly situated. So what Krishna says is, doesn't matter how much you have sinned. Your past is not important. You can make a new start at this instance. And if you resolve to do the right thing, Krishna says, I will help you. That is Krishna's assurance. See, the teachings get all corrupted when religion comes into picture. But if you look at just the spiritual aspect of it, Krishna has not spoken about any caste or religion or belief system or school, nothing like that. Krishna has never said you have to be from this family or you have to be learning from this Gurukul, nothing like that. All Krishna says is your intent. If you have the right intent, if you have the bhav of bhakti, and if you surrender to me, doesn't matter how bad you have been, what all sins you have committed. He says you can make a start now, and I will help you, and I will make sure that you go towards liberation. So that is such an assurance Krishna is giving us. So with this assurance, I think we can close it for today. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your satsang, divine satsang. I hope today's session made sense. I know there was a lot of concepts there. And once I share the notes, you can go through the notes and ask any questions that you have. Especially the part about samskaras took me many, many years to understand. And I've tried to condense it into 2 paragraphs because the crux is pretty simple, straightforward. You just have to believe in it. Okay, so with that, I will stop talking. Open the floor for any questions, inputs, comments.
How is samskara different from swabhava?
The sanskara determines your swabhava. So swabhava is what is manifested. So if you have a sanskara of violence, then your swabhava becomes violent.
Yeah, so samskara then is what dictates the swabhava.
Correct. The swabhava is the manifestation of your sanskara.
Okay.
Prabhuji, sanskara is the actual actions that we are doing.
They are the impressions. You know, in other words, they are the kind of program. They are the programs in your mind which make you do certain things. So those actions are manifestation of your sanskaras. That is why in the same situation, exact same situation, 2 people will react in 2 different ways. That is based on the difference in their sanskaras. And based on how they react, they develop different karmas. You see?
Yeah, we can see it in the same family. Son
Yeah.
thinks pretty different, father thinks pretty different. Can we say that it is also because of the age or past karmas in the previous birth you have received? Like
it's not about age at all. It is all about sanskaras. That is what is the core here is whatever sanskaras you have been accumulating through multiple births.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. It's like birth in the previous life.
Yes. So sanskaras can be accumulated in previous birth. Sanskaras can accumulate in this birth itself. There are some old sanskaras you have, which or we all have, which we have not resolved in multiple births, and they will be our most prominent personality. And then there are some new sanskaras that we gather in this birth. So the point is, we need to understand this whole concept. We need to understand what is going on and consciously make an effort to fix our sanskaras. That is what Krishna is saying. Because otherwise, we will be driven by this. We will be out of control. You know, there are some people who keep saying, Arey, I want to do good, but somehow I'm just not able to. Or some people say, I really want to go. Simple things like, you know, I want to stay fit. I want to get up in the morning and go to gym. And that person is thinking of doing it for 10 years. What is stopping that person from actually going and doing it? It's a sanskara. The sanskara of laziness and giving into that. So today you feel lazy, you give into that, tomorrow you will feel more lazy. It's proven, right? And you keep giving into that. That is why you see in, at least in the South, they say, Lakshmiji may know this, it's the Tamil word, it says, Aindil vilayadadu, aimbadil vilayadu. Means things that you cannot resolve at the age of 5. In other words, if I tell you don't speak lies, speak the truth. And if you cannot agree to that when you are 5 years old, you will not agree to it when you are 50 years old. because the sanskaras only keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger.
So I think first we take action, then actions give sport to that sanskara, right?
Yes.
So
So
if we want to do, if we want to change our sanskara, first we need to take positive actions. It will be like enforcing yourself, but eventually you will be at a position where you have a strong positive sanskar.
That's a very beautiful question. So this is this is the concept of the laws of universe, basically. Okay, so most of you are students, you have been students, so you will understand it very easily. Is, let us say the law says A equals to B. Now you want a certain A, but you are not able to control it. Then what is the other option? Go and change B. Because the law is law. A equal to B will always be A equal to B. So if you cannot control A, control B. And then A will automatically have to change. See what I'm saying? So if you are kind, you will be able to help somebody. Let us give a very gross example. If I am kind, I can help the poor beggar asking me for money. But somehow I'm not able to feel the kindness. But I can always give money, which is the action. You do it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, you will start feeling kindness. So that is the law which says that if you cannot control one side, go control the other side. So as you rightly asked, sanskaras determine your actions. Now you are not able to catch that sanskara, but you can always catch the action. And if you force right action, if you force good action again and again, eventually the sanskaras will change. And when the sanskaras change, good actions will come more easily to you. It's a very, very effective, powerful technique. Minalji, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. Yeah. So when we say that 2 sides of sanskaras, right? Like if you are doing something, then you need to experience the other side as well. Isn't it similar to like what goes around comes around? It's a concept of karma kind of a thing.
Exactly. That's exactly what it means. But what I'm trying to explain is when they say what goes around comes around, it doesn't mean that some external entity is keeping a track.
It's your karma.
You are only making sure that you are whatever you are putting out, you are receiving it also.
Right.
That is the whole point. So there is no, God is not our police. The police is within us.
Right.
I think Banoshri ji had her hands up.
Sir, we can say that samskara is our identity, right? If I identify myself as a lazy person, then I won't go to the gym. But if I start going to the gym, then the identity will change of that laziness.
Exactly. That's exactly what Yakanji was also saying. That if you cannot change your sanskaras or your thoughts, change your actions. Yeah, force yourself. Force yourselves to get up and go to the gym, and eventually your sanskaras will change, your identity will change. Because action is easier. Controlling action is easier than controlling your thoughts and your sanskaras. So that is why Krishna says, simplest, start with pride and ego. And this is what I discuss in my other Bhakti Sutra sessions also. If somebody tells you, don't do this, or if I tell you, pay attention, what is your first reaction? Is your first reaction, Arey yaar, why is he saying this? Or do you feel annoyed? Do you feel irritated? Then that means there is that ego inside. There is that pride inside. We have to pay attention to that. So Krishna is saying that is the first enemy. Because even this thought of, I have to force physical action, like, let me go to the gym, that will also come only when you handle your pride. If you're full of pride and full of ahankar, you won't be able to do even that. So like Ekanji said, take care of your pride and ego and then force the rightful actions. And with right actions, your sanskaras will also become right. And then it's a positive feedback loop. That is why they say you should always have satsanga and avoid kusanga. Because in kusanga, even though you are not a bad person, you are copying bad actions. And when you do bad actions, guess what? Slowly, gradually, your sanskaras become bad. And vice versa. When you are in a satsang, see, why am I spending this much time every week coming here? I could just choose my own time. When I'm free, I can record, just send you the recording, right? The point is the satsanga. That is where the power is. This collective consciousness, we all sitting together, encouraging each other, supporting each other. This accelerates the generation of positive sanskaras. You may not realize it, but it happens. It is happening subconsciously. Lakshmi ji and Chitra ji, they will all tell you examples of, like, we feel this in our Bhakti Sutra sessions. Yesterday also we had this miraculous thing happening, but those things you will realize it soon. So my humble request is, make the most of this satsanga. I am not important. What is important is this satsanga. Treat it as a very precious thing, because this satsanga is very carefully chosen. Everybody here is credible. We can trust them. Treat it as a family, and here you can practice. And I'm guaranteeing you that by the end of Bhagavad Gita, if you all stick together, by the time we finish 18th chapter, I can guarantee that you will feel a transformation in your lives. It is guaranteed.
I want to ask a small thing. It's very basic, but I may have missed it. Can I ask?
Sure, Smita ji.
Yeah, I wanted to ask the meaning of Sankhya Yoga. I'm very sorry. It could be very basic, but I have missed few things. So Sankhya and Sankhya. The word Sankhya in Sanskrit is a number. Is it related to the numbers, or how it is?
It is related. So before I say something, I want to check if Vidya ji is still here. Is she here? Maybe she disconnected. Okay. Oh, Vidya ji is here.
I'm here.
Would you like to say something here, Vidya ji? Because you and I had this discussion right when I started chapter 2.
Yeah, but I think we agreed on the explanation that Sankhya and Sankhya mean the same, although in every part of everywhere the text is, it says a Sankhya, and Sankhya is what denotes the number, I guess.
Yes. So what I can say, Smita ji, is you are right. Sankhya means number. Sankhya philosophy is a intellectually analyzing. So there are two meanings for Sankhya. One is, there is actually a school of thought in Indian philosophy which deals with numbers only. So they can prove the existence of God using just numbers. It's a very, very dry, very technical school. So, but this Sankhya that Krishna is talking about is not just number, but it is the scientific study. Like as Krishna is saying, there are sanskaras, there are karmas, how they are connected to each other, how soul is immutable, what is soul, what is body, 3 types of body. It is all a scientific analysis. So that is why it is called a Sankhya philosophy. So Krishna is going to talk about all these details in the 2nd chapter, because he wants to start.
Where is the number in it? Where is number in it? I understand what we are trying to. I mean, it's very stupid way to say I understand, but yes, the relation between the numbers, figures.
That's what I'm saying.
Think is Sankhya.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying these both are Sankhya only, but we are not talking about the other Sankhya. We are not talking about that school which deals with numbers. That school uses the same term, that is also called as Sankhya philosophy only. But this Sankhya is a higher, it is more a scientific and analytical way of looking at the soul, body, and all of that.
Okay.
And that Sankhya is a very specific subset of it, which is dealing purely in numbers. That is not. So I can even share some texts about that Sankhya. So there will be a lot of technicalities there about how many, there will be numbers to everything. Like,
okay.
We will come to some numbers even in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna will talk about, there is a chapter where Krishna talks about, you think you are performing actions, but actually there are so many different entities which are impacting, which are controlling your actions, and he will enumerate them, like, and then he talks about how many indriyas, karmendriyas, jnanendriyas. But the Sankhya school goes much deeper into all of that and deals with numbers. We are not doing that in Bhagavad Gita.
So in Bhagavad Gita, there are different yogas, and we are on Sankhya Yoga right now. Is that
Correct.
the way it is?
Correct. So it will be Sankhya Yoga, then Karma Yoga, then Jnana. Sankhya Yoga is, you can say that the Sankhya Yoga Krishna is talking about is more of Jnana Yoga. So Krishna uses the term Jnana Yoga and Sankhya Yoga interchangeably. So it is a higher level construct, Jnana Yoga. And that Sankhya you're talking about is a very small subset of that Jnana Yoga.
Okay.
Yeah. I see some hands. I see, who is that? Sulata ji, I definitely can see. There's one more hand I cannot read. The video is off. Can you please? Who's that?
Sudeshna.
Sudeshna ji. Yes, you had a question?
Yes, actually, I wanted to ask you told soul changes the bodies, soul just change the bodies. So is that something like that? Soul changes the bodies, and when it gets mukti, so wo sadhu sant, that is the last stage of body or with the soul. After that sadhu sant birth, after that it gets mukti, something like that.
Good question. Good question. So you don't have to be a sadhu sant. Even as Sudeshna, you can get mukti. Even as Ekansh, you can get mukti. As Apurva can get mukti. Diksha can get mukti. So that is Krishna's teaching. So Krishna says, in fact, Krishna will clearly say that you don't have to be a sannyasi to become mukta. Just follow Krishna's teachings and you can all get liberation in this life itself.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Guru.
Welcome, welcome. Sulata ji, you had a question?
Pardon me, but I had this small doubt. So you said that if we perform bad actions because of the samskaras, we experience bad. So similarly, if we perform good actions, we will have to experience good. So wouldn't this affect our path to liberation?
The last part I didn't get. Wouldn't it affect what? Our path to?
Liberation.
Wonderful. Excellent question. Deep question. So, the answer to that is Karmanne vadikaraste mahafaleshu kadachan.
That explains.
Do good.
So if
Good will happen to you. That is leave it to samskaras. But don't do good expecting that something good is going to happen to you. If you have attachment, then you will get stuck into this cycle. So Krishna is saying the way to escape from it, that is where detachment comes into picture. So good question. Thank you so much. Yeah, exactly. So Hare Krishna, thank you so much. I will be cognizant of everybody's time, and we also have another session coming up in the next 5 minutes. So thank you everybody. Really grateful to each one of you for being part of this satsang. I really consider it a priceless association. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Krishna blessed day.
Thank you so much, Draupadi.
See you all in the next
Krishna.
session.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.